Hi, sweet friends. So as you know, this month's theme in the membership is Blissify Your Body. Now, good news, you're already doing that every day, twice a day with your Ziva practice. And I know that I say it one way, but I thought it'd be really cool for you to hear from the world's leading doctors. Dr. Mark Hyman, who's a dear friend, he's the head of the Functional Medicine Center at Cleveland Clinic, the author of 13 New York Times best-selling books, and he is an avid Ziva meditator, and he does a beautiful job breaking down not only the mental, spiritual, and emotional benefits, but also the chemical and physical benefits that you're already getting from your twice-a-day practice. So if you're curious, if your left brain is like, why am I doing this? If you just need to hear it from one of the world's leading doctors, check out this clip from this awesome conversation that we had.
So let's talk about the science of this, because it's fascinating. It's not just that it helps you have better performance, better focus, better energy, better sleep, better sex, but there's some real biology behind it, which I don't think the monks who developed this or what Buddha was thinking about. But it turns out that it's a very powerful healing tool. It's really, meditation is medicine. We talk about food as medicine, but I also have come to realize that meditation is medicine and that it can be applied for all sorts of issues that people have, and that it actually creates a healing response in the body. You know, drugs actually shut off a pathway or block something. They interfere with your biology to stop a symptom. Meditation actually is a tool that helps to activate all the healing mechanisms. So what are those mechanisms that get activated?
Yeah, so when we get stressed, and what a lot of people don't know is that when that adrenaline and cortisol starts to flood our body, those chemicals are acidic in nature. So when your body becomes acidic, it becomes inflamed. And that inflammation, as you well know, is the basis of a lot of different chronic diseases. And so with meditation, not only are we getting rid of that adrenaline and cortisol, but we're starting to flood the brain with dopamine and serotonin, which are alkaline in nature. So we're changing the pH of the body. If we look at why the human body reacts to stress in the way that it does, we really need to cut back in time a few thousand years. Say we're hunting and gathering in the woods, saber-toothed tiger jumps out with the intent to kill. First thing that will happen is digestion will flood with acid because you can't afford to spend that energy digesting your food. You need all hands on deck to deal with a tiger. That same acid will seep onto your skin, so you don't taste very good if you get bitten into by the tiger. That's why stress can premature your aging, because it makes your skin...
Makes your blood clot, so if you get bitten, you don't bleed to death.
That's right. That's right. It makes your nervous poos. It makes your bladder and bowels evacuate, so you can be light on your feet. And it also dampens your immune system, because who cares if you're going to get cancer if you're about to be killed by a tiger? Yeah. Again, we need all hands on deck for this threat.
Basically activates you to be a super duper power machine to run as fast as you can or fight as much as you can. But if you're in that state all the time, it breaks down your system.
That's right. It's not bad for us to get stressed. It is terrible for us to stay stressed. And because our modern demands are no longer predatory attacks, when we get stressed when our boss yells at us, we never outrun our boss. We never physically fight our boss. We're not as physical as we used to be.
Sometimes you feel like punching.
Oh yeah, sometimes you might feel like it. But this is why a lot of people think that exercise is their meditation. I hear this all the time.
Yeah.
Well, Emily, I go to the gym and I run it off or I box it out.
I'll bike ride and clear my space.
And look, exercise is great for you, and exercise is very good at getting rid of your stress in the now. But if you want to deal with the dog that barked in your face when you were 10 or your parents divorced when you were 12, we have to give the body rest.
Yeah, I was 5.
Sorry. Tricky, right? And that stuff, it gets imprinted in our cells, and we got to rest in order to get rid of it.
Yeah. So what are the other things that happen biologically?
Well, one thing that's a fun benefit that not that many people are talking about is the sex piece. What's happening there is if your body's stressed, again, procreation is not really top of mind. Like the meat suit is not that interested in making mini meat suits if it's afraid for its own survival and its own life. So when you get your body out of that chronic fight or flight, you get out of sympathetic into parasympathetic, you can start to have some energy for things like procreation or pleasure.
Well, also mess up your hormones. Actually, they've done studies where they looked at guys who were watching their sports team, and if their team lost, their testosterone went down. The stress of the loss of their team. If their team won, their testosterone levels went up.
Man.
Which is pretty interesting.
Now, see, this is a great reason for people to be rooting for their partner's teams.
Yeah. And infertility is a huge issue.
Yeah.
You write about it in your book, and a lot of work has been done on this at Harvard and other places where people just couldn't get pregnant, and they start meditating Be mindful.
Yeah, we have a bunch of Ziva babies right now, myself included. I was 39. I got pregnant on my first try. I had a 40. There's a woman in the book who was 42 when she came to me. Her doctors, she was not even a candidate for IVF. And then she started meditating. And 2 years later, at 44, she went back to her doctors and she had the fertility markers of an 18-year-old. We oftentimes conflate maternal health with maternal age. And so a lot of people think, well, as I age, my fertility goes down, but that's not always the case. If you're getting healthier, it's possible to a degree, to a point, you could become more fertile.
Absolutely.
It
improves your immune system. It actually lengthens your telomeres, which are these little end caps on your genes, on your chromosomes that determine your aging. So literally you can kind of reverse the biology of aging through meditation.
We've all seen it. We've all seen that 60-year-old yogi who's been meditating and doing yoga her whole life and has the most glowing skin and bright, clear eyes and is super strong. And then we go back to our, high school reunion and someone's been drinking and sitting on the couch every day. And you're like, whoa, you look 30 years older than you are. Yeah. So we know that stress ages us expeditiously. You want proof of that? Take a look at any president the day they take office and that same president 4 years later. So we know stress is aging us, but now we have the proof.
Yeah. And then even stem cells. We're all talking about stem cell injections and stem cells, but meditation actually improves stem cells.
This is so exciting to me. I know you talk about this. I don't know a ton about the stem cells, but I love that you do.
Like you say, meditation isn't about
getting good at meditation.
Getting good at meditation. It's about getting good at life.
That's right. And so, that delicious feeling for anyone who's ever taken a yoga class, when you lie down at the end and you have that delicious shavasana, what the Ziva does is that it just fast tracks that hour-long yoga class. It allows you to get into that delicious headspace of the shavasana right off the bat. And that is valuable if you have a busy life, because you might not have time to go and take an hour-and-a-half yoga class. You might not have time to go to a 10-day silent retreat, but you need to handle your stress, because if you're not managing your stress, it's managing you. And as you've said on this podcast before, stress is related to 95% of all disease.
Yeah.
And so it's not just, I think we have to reframe meditation as, oh, well, that's a luxury thing. It's like a pedicure for my brain that I'll get around to when I have more time. It's like, no, we have to reframe this as the single most important piece of mental hygiene that we need to be practicing every day.
Yeah.
One of my missions at Ziva is to
It's like
make
mental floss.
It's mental floss. I want to make it as rude to leave your house without meditating as it would be to leave your house without brushing your teeth. It's like, that's gross. You need to handle that.
Yeah. I mean, I always thought of it as a nice to have. You got to eat right. You got to exercise, right? You got to sleep. Those are non-negotiable for creating health. But I recently come to believe that meditation, the training of the mind, is also non-negotiable.
Well, when people say to me,
it's one of those pillars of health that you can't replace with another technique.
I certainly agree. And when people say to me, well, I don't have time to meditate, I'm like, you guys, this is your brain we're talking about. It's responsible for printing every single cell in your body and making every single decision in your life. So what else are you doing with your time?
Well, I don't have time not to meditate now. And I don't know that many people who are busier than I am.
I don't know anyone busier than
you. Yet it is something that I look forward to, that without which I start to feel not well. Like I notice a level of agitation or fatigue or mental strain, and I use my brain a lot. I feel like it's like taking my brain to a car wash. It's the most amazing thing.
Yeah.
ZivaMeditation.com /online.
Yeah, you know it by heart.
Yeah, because I give that all my patients every time I see it.
I love it.
One of my patients, you got to go to do this.
Thank you.
And it's cheap. It's accessible. It's affordable. It really has changed the way I see things and think about meditation, because I've studied it, I've learned about it, I've read about it, I know it's important, I recommend it to my patients, but I was like, well, I'm good, I'm good, and I realized it wasn't that good. I could have been better. So thank you, Emily, for joining us on the Doctor's Pharmacy.
So this was just a tiny snippet of this outrageously cool conversation with Mark Hyman. He's such an amazing human, and if you would like to see the entire conversation and hear how he shares how meditation has given him more time in his day, how he feels like he has more energy, why he prescribes Ziva to his patients, then click the link below and you can watch the full episode.